Do you use public transport? Are your journeys as smooth and easy as you like them to be? Or for some people, getting around in London is a job in itself?
We're here in Kilburn to find out about problems with access to the London Underground.
My name's Jeff Harvey and I live in Kilburn. Some people have the attitude that, I have the bus, that's an option, that should be enough. To get around, I need to have some choices on how to get around. Kilburn Station has access to the platform. There's a lift and I can get up to the platform, but I can't get from the platform down into the train. There's a step and a gap. The manual boarding ramps at the underground stations are just, it's a piece of metal that goes from the platform to the train, and there's either a step or a gap or both. And that allows me to roll my wheelchair comfortably into the train. Well, there was a ramp there that was used at Kilburn, and it was taken away. TfL management said that the staff couldn't use it anymore. Not having the ramp can really affect the time of a journey that it takes. It can take sometimes 5 times as long to get somewhere on the bus. And that's very tiring to travel that long, very fatiguing. I don't have as much time as the normal person because I have a lot to deal with just to get out of the house. And that can really affect my life. Ramps would also help people who might have heavy luggage or prams or just anybody who has difficulty with steps. When TfL took the ramp away, they said it was not safe. And actually they said also that it was untested. And they said that a ramp from the platform down into the train is not an appropriate solution. But when I did use the ramp, when it was there and available, it seemed fine. I felt safe and comfortable. It was exactly like using the ramp when it's coming down from the train to the platform. The lift cost about £4 million. And Transport for All did a Freedom of Information and found out that those manual boarding ramps can be around £1,500 total. That's a very small amount compared to what they've already invested.
What would you like to say to Boris?
Please, Boris, support disabled people's rights to travel and help ensure that there are manual boarding ramps in every station that needs them, especially ones like Kilburn, where there's a step down from the platform into the train. It can make a big difference in people's lives.
It isn't just the London Underground which is at fault. We're here at Manor Park to look at issues with Crossrail stations.
My name's Jean Evely and I live in Manor Park in East London. I'm a wheelchair user whenever I'm out of the house, and Manor Park station is completely inaccessible for anybody with any mobility impairments. It has 4 platforms, but they all require travelling downstairs to be able to get to the platforms. There are no lifts, there are no ramps, and there is no assistance available on the platform. So if you're in a wheelchair like myself, if you're elderly, if you have young children in buggies, if you've got heavy luggage, or even if you're younger and you've just broken your leg or sprained your ankle and you need a little bit of help for a couple of weeks, Manor Park station is completely inaccessible to you.
With Crossrail, the new build stations are all getting lifts. The issue is that some of the stations are existing stations. So out into Newham and Redbridge and Ealing, there are stations which have been there for more than 100 years. And it wouldn't be very expensive to put in a lift to refurbish them. We estimate that in fact it would only cost 0.2% of the whole Crossrail budget. But Crossrail have said that they don't think that the footfall at these stations justifies it.
6, 5, 4, 3, we want it step free. 2, 4, 6, 8, step free access, we can't wait. 6, 5, 4, 3, we want it step free.
What do we want?
Step free access.
When do we want it?
Now!
My life's affected quite dramatically. I have a limited period in which I can sit comfortably in my wheelchair before my back starts to ache. So whenever I want to do anything, I've got to factor in the travelling time into whatever I'm doing. At the moment, it's preventing me from working because I can't find anywhere close by to work. I was lucky enough last week to be able to do a volunteering session in an office. To do 3 hours actual practical work in the office took 7 hours out of my day in travel time for a journey that should have only taken an hour each way if I hadn't have had to have had accessibility routes mapped out for me. By the time I'd finished that session, I was absolutely exhausted and I slept for the whole of the next day because I was in so much pain. It means that I can't just decide I want to go out for a coffee because not all of the accessible routes are step-free. Some of them you've got 1 or 2 steps or you've got a gap that you have to traverse, and I'm not allowed to self-propel my wheelchair that far because of damage to my shoulders, so I always have to have somebody to accompany me. Being able to move as far as I can myself, as freely as I can myself, not only enriches my life, it also takes the pressure off my carers and my friends.
What would you like to say to Boris?
You keep raving about how wonderful London is and about how modern it is and about how accessible it is. That's not the reality for people on the ground. Most people in London live in a 21st century city but have to travel on a Victorian transport network. That is just not on.
So what's the future of accessible transport? Well, we're here at a research laboratory in Tufnell Park to find out.
So welcome to Pamela. My name is Derek Bwampong and I'm the lab manager here at Pamela. Pamela is a pedestrian accessibility and movement environment lab, and it's the only multi-sensory laboratory in the whole world. So this is an instrumented wheelchair that we built in here. So with that we can do our own experiments. We don't need wheelchair users to come in. So what we do is we simulate a person with different types of weights. We also have fitted rotary encoders on the back wheel, so we can actually look at how fast the wheelchair is going, comparing that on different surfaces as they're pushing it. And we have slopes and we have different set of steps that we can simulate in this environment. This is the normal height that you see outside when you're crossing the road. That's the height you have to get up to go to the pavement.
What's that sound that we constantly hear?
What you're hearing now is a street environment with a lot of people around and traffic. If we're doing, for example, a train station experiment, we can recreate a train station ambient sound and play it back in here. So it makes it feel like you're actually in a train station.
What ideas have you developed here which are being used now?
There's this scheme called Shared Space Scheme, which is being implemented on Exhibition Road in Kensington. And basically what it is there are no pavements. It's just a road and you have people walking around. So how does a visually impaired person know that they're not crossing into the road? So what we've done here is we've looked at different delineators, which is basically something that tells a visually impaired person that when you cross this delineator, you're entering into the roadside.
Making this film has helped us understand what it's like for wheelchair users, people with buggies, older people and people with injuries to get around on public transport, and how important it is for them to get from A to B. If you want to help with this situation, check out the Transport for All website to support their campaign.